morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever and wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I'm your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy, and joining me for the next hour to talk about the juggernaut Florida Panthers, our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
Yeah, it's a better conversation than the juggernaut Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, can I just say, like, listen, I know we all make this mistake from time to time, but it's more common with Leafs fans. The we with the Leafs, like, it's been a tough season. We need to make some changes. Like, what have you done on the team? Are you on the payroll? It drives me nuts. Pet peeve. We all fall for it sometimes, but most Leafs fans use the we acronym, and it just drives me nuts. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to the show. It was a real tough night for Toronto last night. I didn't see what the line closed at. I saw, I think they were like minus 360 or minus 370 or something like that. Lost to Arizona. I think it was an overtime. Jacob Chychrun scored the overtime winner. I had to laugh at that because obviously Jacob Chychrun is one of the players that's been heavily rumored to be on the move at the trade deadline. And before the game, he talked about how great it was to be in Toronto, like the mecca of hockey, rabid fan base, everybody's passionate. Like, all I could think was, man, he really wants to get out of Arizona, doesn't he? And then sure enough, in this quote unquote showcase game against Toronto, he scores 2 goals, one of the funnier goals of the season, the other one, the OT winner. So Jacob Chychrun had a pretty good night. Some Coyotes had a pretty good night. Nick Schmaltz did not have another 7-point game. So it seems like he's cooling off a little bit. He only had 1 point last night. But yeah, that was a pretty wild game. It wasn't the game that got a lot of people to the top, though. I got a DM in our Discord from MP Goldberg, took down the 333 last night for a full 20K using Florida 2. And you and I talked on the show quite a bit about Florida 2 and that Florida matchup. I didn't have near enough of them. I think I only had 1 out of 20 Florida 2 lineups that, it didn't get me there. Florida absolutely, we've seen them post bigger scores than just 6 goals, but it was what happened and where the points went, right? Like Aaron Ekblad, 4 assists, Jonathan Huberdeau, 4 assists, Sam Reinhart, 3 goals. Like, any sort of power play stack really did well last night for Florida. I don't think you can really blame Carter Hart. Philly's defense, has been shaky at times, but this Florida team looks, when they're healthy, looks every bit the cup contender that they've been pretty much all season long.
Yeah, they're going to be tough to beat. It's weird because, like, they're not even using Barkov with line mates right now. I mean, he's with Verhaeghe, but like, they're just like throwing the third wheel up there with him just to hide him for now. Josh is in a tunnel mentally. Yeah, man, I'm always in a tunnel. I got some tunnel vision last night, and I tunnel visioned my way to Vegas 1, and that was delightful. But yeah, the Panthers are going to be tough to beat. And it's funny because that Chychrun first goal was a hilarious goal. It wasn't even the most hilarious goal of the night.
Yeah,
like wing, or the second wild goal was the most ridiculous goal I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, for anybody that might have missed that last night, there was 10 goals in the Minnesota-Detroit game, I believe. Like you said, the second Minnesota goal, it was a flip dump in from the neutral zone, about 30 feet in the air, bounces down, starts bouncing towards the goalie. It's going 10 feet wider than, like 5 to 10 feet wide of the net. And for some reason, Nedeljkovic comes out of his net and swats at it with the backhand of his goalie stick and swats it right into his own net. I'm not sure exactly what he was thinking there, but it certainly it kind of looked funny. And I write about season-long fantasy hockey over at Dauber Hockey, and it was kind of funny. I think that was the closest we'll get in modern NHL to a goalie getting a Gordie Howe hat trick. Now, a Gordie Howe hat trick is a goal, an assist, and a fight in the same game. Typically, that's for skaters. Nedeljkovic scored on his own net, assisted on, I think, one of the Lucas Raymond goals, and then got into a little little Donnybrook with Cam Talbot later in the game. So Alex Nedeljkovic might not win the Calder Trophy, but I think he got a Gordie Howe hat trick last night.
Yeah, and Bunting's not going to win the Calder Trophy either. He's 58 years old. Get over it, Leafs fans. Like, yeah, he should, because he's technically a rookie, but
I mean,
not going to.
Listen, if we're not going to ding guys for games played too much, the Calder Trophy winner should be Matt Boldy anyway. But that's a different conversation.
Although Kaprizov won last year, and he's like 612 years old too, so who knows?
Yeah, but lots of good rookies in the NHL this year. There were a handful of very high-scoring games last night. I think one that kind of broke our hearts was St. Louis absolutely pounding the Rangers 6-2. I don't know. I certainly haven't watched every Rangers game this year. That might be the Shesterkin's worst game of the season. Georgiev came in relief, I think, after the first period. It's not as if, Shesterkin kind of gutted it out. He was gone after 20 minutes. The Blues really laid the hammer last night, but none of the guys, and this is one of the problems we talked about with St. Louis and them spreading out their ice time. It's like, yeah, they put up 6 goals last night, and yeah, Robert Thomas had a really good game with a couple goals and 4 shots, but if you're playing on DraftKings, you need those bonuses. And I'm looking up and down the forward list, and out of 6 goals, not one single forward had a 3-point bonus or a shot bonus. And that's one of the problems with spreading out ice time for our concerns. It might be a good idea for the coach and his team, but spreading out ice time, it can really lower the upside of players. And I think we kind of saw that in a nutshell with St. Louis last night. Did you watch any of that game?
Yeah. I think that was the worst game of Igor's career, honestly. He just had nothing. And he got an assist on the Rangers goal in the first period. So Gallant was like, fix yourself, go out for the second. Gave up a goal 15 seconds in. And he's like, get out. And Georgiev just had nothing either. So, it is what it is. He's human. We found that out yesterday. It confirmed our suspicions that he is, in fact, human. So he's allowed to have a bad game. It's just hilarious that on a 13-game slate at 30% owned as chalk, he had the bad game. So, DK knows. I don't know. Maybe they're, who knows? They don't know. Their pricing.
Yeah, if
awful.
DK knows, then Peter Mrazek wouldn't have been 8,900 or whatever he was. So,
yeah. That's the problem with 13-game slates, though. You know what I mean? It's just too big. Even if you get 2 teams right, he still might not win because there's so many other teams. And although yesterday was kind of narrow path to victory.
Yeah, what I saw when I was just looking just kind of around the top of the leaderboards, it was basically one of 3 teams got you there. The Islanders, the Panthers, or the Los Angeles Kings. And actually my best lineup last night was a late swap because I had the Anaheim line. Who was it that was scratched? Was it
Zegras?
Yeah, Zegras was scratched. I had the Anaheim line, so I had to late swap, and I just ended up on Los Angeles too, and they actually kind of went bananas, and that was ended up being my best line of the night. But yeah, I was Florida and the Islanders, especially, that got there, and we do have the Islanders on the slate today. We're going to talk about them in a bit. Before we do, I just have to give a special thanks to Yahoo Fantasy. Yahoo has been our sponsor this entire season. And if you're new to DFS, or if you just haven't played over on Yahoo before, we have a special giveaway for first-time users, some free money for first-time Yahoo users. So the links for that are below this video, but we'll certainly talk about that a little bit later. And if you guys could, in the chat, please throw us a thumbs up, click that like. Those likes help get us to the top of the algorithm. Click the subscribe button if you're new here as well. Those subscriptions really help grow this channel and keep shows like this coming on a regular basis. And of course, if you want to get alerted when these shows go on the air, click the notification bell. Free premium tools and data up on the site. We have free premium tools and data almost every day. Today is no exception. We have our NBA player projections, our NHL ownership projections, and our MMA fighter rankings all up on the site today, all free to read for anybody that just wants to head over to Awesemo.com. And also Jeff Votler the fourth man here at Awesemo NHL. Vots has his NHL Power Plays article up on the site, free for anybody to read. We also have a giveaway through our podcast. Just leave a 5-star review over at the Awesemo podcast channel. And if you do that and leave your Twitter username or Awesemo username, you'll be entered to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. And finally, our NBA prop show has joined the circuit here. We do have a new NBA betting prop show. It's called Locks Before Lock, and it's 30 minutes every day before the NBA deeper dive through the week. So head on over to our Odd Shopper YouTube channel, subscribe there to get access to our Locks Before Lock NBA prop betting show. Really interesting show for anybody that's interested in prop betting. Just get the best edges available on NBA player props straight from our experts. All right, Josh, we only have 4 games to get through, but we have some interesting games on this slate. One, because I think these are mostly even matchups. One might be a little bit lopsided, but mostly even matchups. And the other reason, there's a lot of back-to-backs on the slate. Vegas back-to-back, obviously Winnipeg, and the Islanders back-to-back, Columbus back-to-back. So with those back-to-backs, there's some information that we don't have right now because teams on back-to-backs don't have morning skates. So we, if there's a change to the lines, if there's some injury that's cropped up overnight, if somebody showed up to the rink sick or something like that, we just don't have that information yet. So going off some stuff from last night, a couple teams did have morning skates today. So the information is a little bit all over the place, but we'll try to put it all together the best we can for you. So let's get to this first game. Vegas, 2.8 implied goal total. They're going into Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh Penguins have a 3.3 implied goal total. Now, as you mentioned, Vegas fell on their face last night going into Buffalo, lost 3-1 to the Sabres. Sabres seemed fired up. Like that was almost like a playoff atmosphere for them. Vegas, like the thing with Vegas is like Pacioretty and Eichel aren't really scoring yet, but it's not as if they're playing poorly, right?
They played
like,
well last night.
Yeah, they're not getting like run over or throttled. It's not like Eichel looks super rusty and just doesn't look like he belongs out there. It's just, it's only been a handful of games. That's just kind of the way streaks work sometimes. The problem is that they're going into Pittsburgh, going up against that Pittsburgh top line, which has had their defensive problems over the course of the season, but seems to have at least stabilized things a little bit of late. If there are changes to that Vegas lineup, again, we just won't know just yet, but they did hold their lineup combinations pretty much right to the end of the game. Speaking of lineup combinations, we have a new second line for Pittsburgh. Evgeny Malkin with Evan Rodriguez and Danton Heinen. I wrote this morning over at Dauber, where I write about season-long fantasy hockey, that Evan Rodriguez might be the key to the Pittsburgh Penguins turning into a true cup contender. Like him turning into the guy that he was over the first 2 months of the season. If he can do that again, that gives them an absolute stud second scoring line. That's why I'm kind of excited about this second Pittsburgh scoring line here today. But I don't think we can ignore Vegas on a 4-game slate, even if they're not scoring at will right now. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's a nice move to get him into the top 6. I think him and Russ swapping spots for a little bit might even be better. Like Rodriguez with Crosby is just ridiculous. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's just one thing I want to say too. The coach said in an interview, I think it was before morning skate or after morning skate yesterday, something like that. Like he's thought about breaking up that top line. He doesn't want to do it just because of how well that top line is playing and has played pretty much all season long, at least since Crosby got healthy. He doesn't want to break them up, but if the second and third lines don't start picking up their scoring, they don't really have a choice. They can't rely on one line. So it's the first time I've heard him talk like that since that line was put together. So it was just something I took note of.
Yeah, so like Sullivan was a Rangers coach. He usually speaks in like snake tongue, but like when
he also said every player is a game time decision for tonight. Like that's kind of guy he is to the media. So
that's classic Sully there for you. But like Rust and Malkin have a pretty long history together. Not like long as Crosby and Gensel, but they have history together. And Rodriguez with Crosby and Gensel were dynamite earlier in the season, so it would make some sense. but that's neither here nor there. We have them playing tonight, and he's not there. So anyway, I do really like Pittsburgh one here. I don't like conjecturing about people's injuries, but it's visible. Max Pacioretty is hurt. Like you can see it. So if he's in tonight, which is a question mark in my head because he was laboring in that third period last night, would it shock me to see him sit tonight? No, but like I think they need him to play because like if he's out and they get wrecked again, like they may not make the playoffs. So like he's probably just gonna have to suck it up and play. But like an injured Pacioretty isn't Max Pacioretty, and Marchessault on that line, I don't know. Like it's weird. Like I like that they loaded it up, but it's weird because Vegas, and especially the Vegas coach, you saw it with the Sharks. He loves his balance up and down the lineup. So I don't know. I feel like there's going to be changes to the Knights lineup tonight. That being said, like I still really like Pittsburgh one. None of the matchups matter. Like Riley Smith is out, so like the Misfits line isn't going to be together, even if Marchessault gets moved back down. Eichel's still new there. He's been getting different line mates every game almost. Pacioretty's not healthy, so I'm in on Pitt one. They're coming in like 19-20%, which is reasonable on a 4-game slate. They might end up higher. It's fine. You know what I mean? There's plenty of ways to do some things on this slate. So I'm in on Pitt one. I do like this Pitt too. Like if you can guarantee me Evan Rodriguez is going to get top 6 minutes, and that's been his concern since he left the top line, going down to the third line, playing like 14 minutes. If he's going to play 16, 17, 18, 19 minutes consistently with Malkin, I do like the second line because as you get down the Knights lineup right now, it's just there's nothing there. They're just a shell of the team that they should be. So I'm in on Pittsburgh top 6 here. I'm fine with Pittsburgh power play stacked. Vegas Golden Knights penalty kill is nothing to be afraid of. So yeah, Pitt 1 is my favorite. I think I'm fine with Pitt 2 as a filler. Like they're really, really cheap. And if you want to Pitt power play stack, I think that's fine. On the Vegas side, despite knowing that Pacioretty is hurt, if he's still out there, he's still out there. You know what I mean? His wrist doesn't seem to be bothering. He's still shooting the puck. So I see that they're projected for almost identical ownership as the Pittsburgh top line. And I prefer Pittsburgh, but that ownership is okay. I feel like that ownership is going to come down a little bit. I'm still okay with it. I don't know if I'm going to play them 1 to 3, but they'd definitely be in my mix. I feel like it's going to be lower because like a third of the field got burned. Like they were mega chalk yesterday. A third of the field got absolutely burned by them. So I don't know if everyone's going to go back. It's a perceived tough matchup, and it is. But I think they should be in the MME mix. And then like going down the lineup, we'll have to wait and see because like, is Marchessault going to still be there? Is Pacioretty going to play? There's questions. And just real quickly, I see someone say that Pitt 1 nearly impossible to fit on FanDuel. Yeah, FanDuel pricing is outrageous. It might make them very low owned. You're going to have to find a pretty cheap filler that you like, and we'll see if we can find one for you. But yeah, Pitt 1, Pitt power play, some Vegas 1, assuming it's still Pacioretty, Eichel, Marchessault.
Yeah, Pitt 1 is very expensive over on FanDuel, 26,200. They're 3,400 more than the next closest line. I agree with you on Pitt 1 here. If I had to take the choice, and like I know the prices aren't the same. Like Pitt 1, 3,400 more expensive than Vegas 1 over on DraftKings. I know that makes a difference. But if those two lines are going to come in at the same ownership, I'd rather play Pitt 1 and then just kind of go look for some value amongst my defensemen or, a cheap 2-man forward stack or something like that to go with them. My one concern with Pittsburgh is that Vegas's penalty kill has been excellent of late. Their penalty kill by expected goals against over the last near 6 weeks since February 1st, 4.39. It's about a half goal better than the next closest penalty killing team. They're just not giving up anything. And they're not they're not super disciplined. They can take their fair share of penalties, but they don't take a lot. And that's kind of the one thing that worries me is like Pittsburgh's, their power play. They're kind of like a better version of Winnipeg one in that sense. Like they get a lot of their value from both the power play and empty net situations. So I think if there's a reason to fade Pittsburgh one, that would be it. Is this isn't necessarily a great power play matchup for them. But again, Vegas played last night back to back on the road. They're probably going to play their third string goalie, who isn't bad. Like, I don't think he's like a John Gillies or whatever over in New Jersey. But again, this is still a third string AHL goalie. Those would probably be the reasons to stick with Pitt 1 here. Pitt 2 is where things get really interesting for me. There's not a huge sample for that line playing together, but Heinen and Malkin have been absolutely exceptional together this year. 150 minutes together, 31 scoring chances for per 60 minutes, 17 against. They're controlling 65% of the scoring chances when they're on the ice together. I don't think Evan Rodriguez is going to really disrupt that chemistry very much. And even, the small sample of this line together, 45 minutes has been very good, like 56% of the scoring chances. So I'm coming in fairly excited about playing that Pitt 2 line. I think you're fine to just, completely 3-man stack them. They fit in with your Minnesota 1 or, your Washington power play or something like that. So they can fit in, like they're not coming in super high owned. We have them coming in under 10% by our top 2 stacks over on DraftKings. Over on FanDuel, we have them coming in at 5%. They're a little bit more expensive, relatively speaking, but that second line at 5% on a 4-game slate, I think there's definitely a case for it if you don't want to pay $26,000 on FanDuel for Pitt 1. So especially and this is the second point I want to bring up about Pittsburgh 2, is if Marchessault stays on the top line, it's a rotating cast of guys that William Karlsson's going to skate with. Michael Amadio, maybe Chandler Stevenson gets up there, but he's been playing on the third line quite a bit. Keegan Colasar, what have you. I looked at Karlsson's numbers without Jonathan Marchessault on his line this year. Like, they're horrific. 42% of the scoring chance share whenever Marchessault is off Karlsson's line. Like, they're not playing well when he's on the top line or out of the lineup or whatever. So I think there are a lot of reasons to like Pittsburgh 2 here. I like Pittsburgh 1 as well. I think both those top lines, I'm not really even straight stack one or the other, but it's probably Pitt 2. On the Vegas side, yeah, Max Pacioretty was definitely kind of limping when he was on the ice. That was something that you could see. A beat writer pointed out, and then I turned the game on, and yeah, obviously you could see. At the same time, I don't think they're going to come in near 20% owned like we have them projected. I agree with you. I think they might come in a little bit lower than that. The thing is like, I don't even want to play that line at 15% going into Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Not on this slate. Like, I'd rather, when I look for, stacks in that line, we'll talk about, or in that range, we'll talk about Vancouver later, but I think I would honestly rather play Vancouver 1 than the Vegas top line here tonight. As weird as that sounds, at least until we get a little bit more clarity on Max Pacioretty. If we were getting a huge ownership discount, I would say, yeah, go ahead. But it doesn't really seem like we're going to, unless their ownership just completely nukes itself from here. So yeah, that's where I am. Really like Pittsburgh 2, Pittsburgh 1, fine as well. I think if you want to dip down to third lines, it wouldn't be the Pittsburgh third line I'd go to. It'd probably be the Vegas third line. Like, Roy and Stevenson typically have been kind of fine. Small sample, only 65 minutes, but 53% of the scoring chances, generating 39 scoring chances per 60 minutes. That's pretty good. And I'm not sure Pittsburgh's third line is going to be that great with Rodriguez off and Brock McGinn there instead. So I think if I were to go anywhere in Vegas, it would be Vegas 3 is like a 2-man filler stack to go with my more expensive, Washingtons or Minnesotas or what have you. So that's where I am on the forwards. On the defensemen, Shea Theodore, his peripherals have started to pick up a little bit. He's also getting power play one time, not really a great power play matchup though. But Nick Hague, you brought him up on the show yesterday. I know he's quote unquote listed as a third pair defenseman, but 20 minutes a night is about what you can expect from him. He has good peripherals too. Don't mind Nick Hague tonight. What do you think about defensemen?
Yeah, Nick Hague, Shea Theodore, Alex Pietrangelo. Like Pietrangelo or Theodore if you're paying up. Hague if you want to punt. Letang is a correlation play. Like you said, not the best power play matchup, but I don't know. Third string goalie back to back on the road with some injuries. I think, putting in Letang with some pit ones definitely makes some sense. And that's probably about it on Pittsburgh. I just don't like playing anyone else.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot that their defensemen really do. Like, I guess if you need a full punt, John Marino, complete punt would be okay, but I'd rather pay up a bit for my defenseman here tonight. We are excited to announce the launch of our premium Betting Picks subscription. Click the link below to subscribe and join our Betting Picks Discord channel. Each day, Alex Awesemo Baker, Ben Raza, and Steve the Colt Buzzard use Awesemo's industry-leading projection models to identify the best potential ROI situations and provide catered snapshot betting analysis in an actionable time frame. Until March 17th, you can get a discount on these best bets when you use the coupon "Let Me See Those Picks" at checkout, which will get you full access for only $15. Now's the time to get the premium Betting Picks subscription. It's just in time for March Madness, so click the link below for today's games. I am excited for March Madness. I'm excited. Baseball, man. We're getting baseball back. I know March Madness is right around the corner, but I really look forward to baseball season. And they said April 7th, I think, or April 9th.
Yeah.
Like we're less than a month away. Are you excited?
I'm excited, but also horrified because I was like, what? I'm going to just, there's going to be no season. I'm not going to do any of my MLB prep. Now I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah. I stopped doing DFS prep for MLB, thankfully. A few years ago, I'm starting to rely on more people, but I still do my own season-long projections, and I have absolutely nothing prepared. So, yeah, I'm not quite
in
the
Awesemo tools.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully Awesemo has like a season-long guide they plan on putting out because I really need it. Let's get to our next game. Minnesota 3.6 implied goal total going into Columbus. The Jackets have a 2.9 implied goal total. This is a game where both teams here played last night. Minnesota was in Detroit. They had that 6-5 shootout game. Columbus was in New York to face the Islanders, got their brains beaten 6-0. Anders Lee scored a hat trick. I think they said it was his first career hat trick, which seems surprising to me. Like, it's not like he's been like just a 20 goal scorer his whole career. He's had some pretty good seasons. So anyways, congrats to him on his first career hat trick. This is a back-to-back for the Jackets. One thing I did notice looking through the game logs last night is Boone Jenner and Patrick Laine were basically benched at the end of the game. They only had 3 shifts in the final 15 minutes. So, like, I don't know if they're going to be super tired for this one. And both teams are on the back-to-back here, with Minnesota having to travel on the road. So, obviously, there's a huge total on the Minnesota side, but it's not like there's a low total on the Columbus side. They have a higher total than that Vegas team we just talked about. So what do you think about this game?
Yeah, and Columbus got stuck in New York last night. Being stuck in Staten Island, I'm sorry for that. But, yeah. Oh, man. Is it Pat Laine night? That's a nervous laugh.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I'm in danger.
Oh. They are going to get Minnesota 1, which, their defensive numbers have been pretty leaky lately. That being said, their offensive numbers are starting to pick back up. Yeah, and the ownership reflects on Minnesota 1 here. They're coming in around 24-25%. Yeah, I that ownership I think is fine. Ownership's all relative. If it was a 13-game slate and there was this ownership, I'd be like, no, but 4-game slate against a back-to-back Columbus team. I know the Wild are back-to-back as well, but Jackets, not a very good team. I know it's probably going to be Merzlikins tonight, which is the only trepidation I have on the Minnesota side. But, like, with the defense they've been playing, I don't think it's a huge issue. I think you full stack here. These are one of those lines where I don't really want to leave anyone off. because they're fully correlated. And if you do leave the guy off, it always happens. Like you leave Zook off because he's not a huge shooter or whatever, he's going to score 2 goals. So I think full Minnesota 1 would be the play for me on the Minnesota side. You want to go to that second line, I think that's fine as well. I just, that second line is coming in pretty over-owned as well. I think I'd rather just eat the ownership to go to the top line than eat the ownership to go to the second line. If you want to play Fiala and Boldy, I think that's fine. Like, I know the Cash Crew were talking about Fiala tonight. I think that is perfectly fine. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I think this is a top line thing for me. I think that, as always, if Eriksson X on the top power play at that price, I think he's always an interesting one offer in addition to Minnesota 1. On the Columbus side, you talked about yesterday, the Minnesota 2 numbers defensively have become a bit leaky. We've talked about how the Minnesota top line's defensive numbers aren't as good. So I think there is stuff to like on the Columbus side. If you want to play Jenner Liney, I think that's fine. Like you said, they got benched in the third period. That was strategic. Or just angry. I don't know, probably both. But you want to go to that top line, I think that's fine. They're coming in around 7%. I don't know. Like Minnesota 1's cheaper if you're 2-manning, right? Hartman, Zuccarello costs less than Jenner Liney. So I think, I don't know. I think I would prefer to attack the Minnesota second line with Voracek, Roslovic, Bjorkstrand. It's just a personal preference if you want to go to Jenner Liney. I will be the first to admit it. I have bad bias against Patrick Laine just because he's tanked my lineups for the past month. But I think I'm going to go attack that second line for Minnesota, and that's Voracek, Roslovic, Bjorkstrand. Voracek, Bjorkstrand still on the top power play, which is fine. You get 2 guys there. Minnesota penalty kill is not great. Roslovic is cheap. He's not a bum. I'm higher on him than everyone else on the planet, but I think I would rather attack Minnesota 2 than Minnesota 1 here. They just seem like they're starting to get the old train rolling again. So I'm going to Columbus 2, Minnesota 1, Minnesota power play.
Here's my issue with Columbus is even before they sat Jenner and Laine there towards the end of the game, they really started changing up their lines. That third line, whatever you want to call it with Chinnikov and Domi or whatever it was, they just skated. It seemed like they were just throwing them out like we used to do when we play mites. The first 5 guys that were at the door, you just push them out and put them on the ice. It seemed like that's what was going on in Columbus. If you look at, it was all over the place by the time they got to the third period. Jack Roslovic's first shift in the third period was with Gustav Nyquist and Max Domi. Those are guys that were on 3 different even strength lines to start the game. Yeah. So that's the problem I'm running into with Columbus. I want to play Columbus here tonight. And I'm only saying that because I'm pretty sure Jake's in Nashville and not watching this. So he's not going to hear me tout Patrick Laine.
No.
That's kind of the issue here is that they're coming in with good leverage. They're only the Columbus top line that if we think it's still Nyquist, Laine, and Jenner, and until we hear different, that's what we have to go with. They're only coming in with 7% ownership. 7% owned top line at home on a 4-game slate facing a team that's on a back-to-back. And I think this is 4-6 for Minnesota or something like that. Yeah. There are reasons to play Columbus here. And the only thing that's kind of bugging me is that I don't really feel comfortable with the line combinations. I could see them starting with what they normally have, and then Minnesota goes up 2-0 in the first 10 minutes, and then all the lines get blown up. So that's kind of my problem here with playing Columbus, is that I'm really, really worried that all it takes is 1 goal against for everything to go into a blender. But at the same time, I think this is a good ownership spot for that Columbus top line, assuming that they're together. So
it's a good power play spot too. So you have that at least.
Yeah, that's the other thing is that Minnesota takes a lot of penalties. They're not way at the top, but they're certainly in the top 10, and they don't have a great penalty kill. It's fine, middle of the road, but it's not elite or anything like that. And certainly nothing to be concerned about. So I think there's definitely some reason to play that top line for Columbus here tonight. I get that they're not a quote unquote great top line, but Patrick Laine is the best arguably the best pure sniper in hockey. He can whip the puck in from literally anywhere. So, yeah, I don't mind that Columbus top line here tonight. I think if I were to look at the Jackets, that's where I would go. On the Minnesota side, I really do like the both top two lines. I'm not going to talk about too much further there. It's the third line that really interests me as a filler here tonight. And I say that because what had been the third line of Domi, Sillinger, X, like Danforth or Chinnikov or whomever, not very good. Like if you look at just Chinnikov and Cole Sillinger, 37% of the shot share, 38% of the scoring chances, like I cannot imagine that's going to get any better if Justin Danforth ends up on the third line. So where that Minnesota third line has been very dominant this year, I get that they're coming in with, it seems like high ownership for a filler, but I think it's a great matchup for them. So
Marcus Foligno has 20 goals this season, doesn't he?
I'm pretty sure he's like first or second on the team in expected goals since the All-Star break. Like he's been playing very well over the last month or so. So I think all the Minnesota lines are fine. I think for me personally, I'm going to look for my main stack elsewhere, and it would be the third line I consider as a filler. I do like Columbus one here tonight, assuming it's Laine, Jenner, Nyquist. I guess we'll see when warmups hit. On the blue line, it's like those Minnesota guys are all priced in the 4K range, and you're basically hoping one of them scores a goal. Like the peripherals really haven't been great. And then I looked over at Columbus, and they're basically doing that thing where Werenski gets 26 minutes at ice time, and then everybody else is like 17 to 19. So I don't think I can play Peter Gavrikov. I'm certainly not playing at $4,500.
He got the Ducks treatment.
What is going on? Certainly not playing a $4,500 Gavrikov, and now I just locked in a goal and an assist for him, absolutely guaranteed. I think it would be I'd go all the way up to Werenski or just move along on the Minnesota side. It's correlating Spurgeon or moving along for me.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if I'd punt Goligoski because I don't know. His minutes are up and down. It seems pretty risky.
I mean, yeah, I guess if you need a sub 3K defenseman or whatever on DraftKings, once you get to that point, all you're hoping for is 18 minutes and a little bit of luck anyway. Unless you're Radko good ass.
Yeah, that guy just,
That guy's just, it's a block, bonus, and assist every single night.
It's his big ass out there and just blocks some pucks.
We talked a little bit earlier about Yahoo Fantasy. We are sponsored by Yahoo Fantasy, and they're here to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you played in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you'd like to speed up the process of getting access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up right away. You can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking the link in the video description below, and that can be used to enter any Yahoo contest, including tonight's $5,000 NHL Baller. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. All right, let's jump to this next one. We have a fairly even game here. Winnipeg, 3.0 implied goal total. They're going into New York to face the Islanders. The Islanders also have a 3.0 implied goal total. The Islanders played last night. The Jets played last night. The Islanders absolutely, as we talked about, absolutely waxed Columbus 6-0. The Jets had a tighter game against New Jersey, 2-1, but they still took the win. It is traveling. It is on the road. Obviously, they're not going very far in New Jersey, playing for the Devils and then playing the Islanders. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're staying in the same hotel. I don't know how that works. It is 4 games in 6 nights for Winnipeg. But they did start Eric Comrie last night, so they get Connor Hellebuck as the starter here. Josh, do you have your flow chart handy?
Always.
Thank you very much.
Hodor. Yeah, going from the Devils to the Islanders is it's not far. It's just miserable. It's just a lot of traffic. Like, got to go over the GWB, and no matter what time of day it is, to be 3 a.m., you're gridlocked. But Have you seen the sample on the Islanders top line? 50-minute sample, but they're generating over 5 expected goals for 60, 25 high danger chance. Okay, yeah, because Lee just parked his big ass in front of the net and just had a hat trick yesterday. But like 25 high danger chances for 60.
like really good lines put up like 12 or 13. Like elite lines are like 14. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, but it's like high event highway. 48 scoring chances for per 60, 38 scoring chances against. Like that is one of the most high event lines you'll see. I don't know how I didn't even really see how the Islanders matched up yesterday. It's kind of hard with the Columbus, you know. I mean, like I feel like they're going to send out Nelson against Scheifele. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I looked last night. They did send out Pajot, Palmieri, Bailey a fair bit against that Jenner line. I do think it's a situation where you're going to see the top 6 play against the top 6, but I think that's the matchup you're going to see a fair bit of.
Yeah. That's the case. Thank God that's the case. I don't have to like Scheifele and Wheeler. Because like if they were going to get Lee, Nelson, Beauvillier, like it would put Scheifele and Wheeler into play just because despite how awful they are 5-on-5, like that line is so high event. I don't know. So like I'm kind of interested in whoever plays that Islanders top line. I think it's going to be Connor Dubois, Svechnikov. So I do like Winnipeg too here. They're coming in, you know, not super high owned. Kyle Connor's price is under 7K on DraftKings, which is that's a rare occurrence for him this season. him and Dubois just shoot the puck, and they're both on the top power play. I kind of like Svechnikov there. If you know, Perfetti is not going to be there; he's hurt now, so Svechnikov is the guy I want there. So Winnipeg 2, I like. You want to play Winnipeg 1 here. I think this would be the time to do it anyway. I know Palmieri and Pajot are, you know, very slow paced, but Winnipeg 3 total on the road, and the line has low ownership. Like you rarely see Winnipeg 1 have low ownership, and they are on the top power play. The thing is, like the Islanders don't take penalties; they just don't, and they have a good penalty kill too. So you don't have to power play stack here. But like if you're gonna get that top Winnipeg line for 5-6%, I think, you know, maybe not 1 to 3, but in your mix in MME 20 to 150, I think having Winnipeg 1 in the mix at that ownership makes some sense. But for me, Winnipeg 2 is the preferred option here. You want to go all the way down to Winnipeg 3 for a filler. I am perfectly fine with that. Ehlers down below 5K, Cop under 4K, Adam Lowry, you know, 2,800. You can leave Lowry off. You can, you know, go Cop Ehlers for a 2-man. I think that's fine. On the Islanders side, like in a vacuum, I like Islanders 1, but you take me out of that dirty vacuum bag and they're going to be 24%. I'm not sure I like that anymore. And, you know, the Jets are back-to-back on the road, but it's Hellebuck. Like, Comrie's been pretty good this season. He's not Connor Hellebuck. Like, Connor Hellebuck is a much better goalie. I think, you know, you have these 20-25% lines like Pitt 1, Min 1, Islanders 1. If I had to choose to leave one off, it's going to be the Islanders. It's the Islanders. It just is what it is. Like Anders Lee price drop coming off a hat trick, Beauvillier under 4. Like it's price driven. So like you can probably fit them with Pitt 1. I think that's why you have the ownership there. That being said, you want to slam chalk on chalk, that might be a way to get contrarian. Maybe not, but like the ownership does worry me as a filler because they're priced like a filler. So for me, like if I was going to go to Islanders line, I'll drop down to that second line, get JG Pajot, Palmieri going up against Scheifele, Wheeler at, you know, less than half of the ownership there. But really, I'm not a huge fan of the Islanders. The reason I'm considering them, it's a 4-game slate, and you have to play somebody if you're playing Pitt 1, so you have to consider the Islanders. But for me, like from an ownership standpoint, I'm going to go to the Islanders second line.
Yeah, I was just kind of fiddling around here on FanDuel. you can get pretty close to playing Islanders 1, Pitt 1. You can't quite do it, but if you just leave off a Gensel or a Rust and throw on a Letang, I think you can get there. That ownership on Islanders 1 is what's really bothering me here. And yeah, it is all price driven. They probably will be going into that Winnipeg second line, and something was kind of nagging at me about that Winnipeg second line. So I looked at their numbers on the road this year. High event doesn't even begin to describe it. On the road this year, that Winnipeg second line taking 38 scoring chances per 60 minutes at 5-on-5 and allowing 38 scoring chances per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. Like, that is absolutely obscene for scoring chances. Like, if it was 30 and 30, I would consider that relatively high. 38 and 38 is just craziness. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not just completely Xing out that Islanders top line here tonight is, 4-6 for Winnipeg. This is probably a tired team. Yes, it's Connor Hellebuck, but he hasn't had his best season. The Islanders are super cheap. Like, you can fit them in with just about any line that you like. They are playing well. Like, this is not the Islanders team of October and November. Like, since over the last 2 months, this has looked like a legitimate playoff team. If somebody wants to play Islanders 1, I would say go right ahead and do it. Maybe I might stack a Noah Dobson in there just to make it a full 4-man stack, or some other cheaper defenseman like a Pellick or a Mayfield or something like that, just to get a little bit different. But yeah, that Islanders top line they've been playing really well, and it's a great spot. I think conversely, it makes Winnipeg too a good spot to attack here tonight, right? Like, they're going into that Islanders top line, and you mentioned just how high event that Islanders top line has been this season. So I think it's Islanders top line, Winnipeg second line. I even think the Winnipeg top line can be in play here, and it's for this reason. If the Islanders are going to use that Bailey line as the shutdown line, Josh Bailey has just had an atrocious season this year. I'm not completely convinced that him and Pajot and Palmieri would be a good shutdown line. They don't have a very big sample here together, only about 70 minutes, and they're at 48% of the shot share, 56% of the scoring chances, which is pretty good. I think there's definitely reasons to play both lines from the Winnipeg top six, but it's the Winnipeg second line that I do like the most. On the blue line, Josh Morrissey, like he's getting those Zach Werenski minutes. It's absolutely bananas. He's getting 25, 26 minutes. Everybody else is 19 or less. So I think if you're playing Winnipeg, it's Morrissey or full punt. On the Islanders side, I like Noah Dobson again. Pulak on FanDuel, pretty cheap. What you got?
Look on DK too, man. He's getting those minutes. His peripherals are going up, so I think that's fine. If you want to punt, I think Pellick or Mayfield or even Sebastian Fiveho is fine. More Josh Morrissey. Like, I don't want to play him, but like if you're using Jets, he's just going to play half the game at 4,600. So like I think that's fine. You want to use Brandon Dillon with Hellebuck, I think that's that's the goalie punt defenseman tandem that I tout the most. But yeah, I like Brendan Dillon.
Did he score last night? Or was that the game before?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, he was on a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-1 or something like that. Anyways, get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all our premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our top stacks, our lineup builder, and a whole lot more. Of course, if you're only looking to play NHL DFS, then you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL packages for as low as $3.95 a week. Please note that Fantasy Cruncher is an add-on. It can be easily added on to any of these packages at checkout, but it is not included in our base packages. However, it is a very valuable addition to your DFS arsenal for anyone looking to multi-enter contests. So stop guessing, start winning, join Awesemo Plus today. All right, we got one more game to get through. I see only 40 thumbs up with 120 people watching. If you guys could, the other 84 of you, please throw us a thumbs up. It'll really help us out. Click the subscribe button if you haven't yet. those subscriptions keep this channel growing, keep these shows coming. And once again, thank you very much to Yahoo for being our sponsor. If you're a first-time user over on Yahoo, you can get some free money for them. The links for that are below this video. Coming up after us, Locks Before Lock. That's the NBA prop betting show, 4:30 Eastern with Eitan and Ben. And then the deeper dive coming up right after that with Laffy and Greg, and then Eric and Gundacker doing the live before lock. All right, final game. Washington, 3.0 implied goal total going into Vancouver. The Canucks also have a 3.0 implied goal total. I noticed they just had morning skate while we were on the show. They flipped Connor Sheary and Tom Wilson. So Tom Wilson's down on the third line with Connor McMichael and Lars Eller, and Connor Sheary up on the top line with Kuznetsov and Ovechkin. I was looking at that line's numbers for this year. Not good. Sheary, Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, 44% of the scoring chances, 30 scoring chances against per 60 minutes. Shot share at like 52%, which is fine, but not great for a top line. I don't know. I think there's some stuff to like on both sides, but I see some low-owned Canucks that I never thought I would ever see. What do you think here?
Yeah. I like the top line before Sheary got moved up there, and I like him more now that Sheary got moved up there. I talk about it like Tanner Pearson stabilizes any line he's on. Like the Canucks have been better offensively 5-on-5 since Brucey Baby took over, which isn't a surprise. Like it's Bruce Boudreau.
Yeah, hire a good coach, he'll coach good.
Yeah. So yeah, I do like the Canucks top line. Like Pettersson and Frodo Baggins have been really good together too. Like I think they're almost at 60% Corsi 4 in their 50-minute sample. That's Connor Garland. I'm high on Hoglander as well too. He's not on the power play, but he's 2,800. That third line is a bit of a scene. You know, like Podkolzin's just the shot bot, Horvat and Alex Chiasson who always finds his way onto the top power play unit. Luckily, he's not there. So, like, I'm in on the top six. I like that top line. I like that second line. They're going to get, JT Miller's going to get Kuznetsov, and Patterson's probably going to get that third line matchup. So, yeah, I prefer the top line, but if you want to get to that second line, I think that's fine. I prefer the top because it's similar ownership, and I'll take the power play correlation. I'll take Tanner Pearson as well. With, like Patterson getting that third line, that means Horvat's going to get that second line. And that Horvat line has just been atrocious defensively. So I'm in on Washington too here. They had a good game last game too. Backstrom, Oshie, top power play. They're cheap. Mantha is getting back into the swing of things, 3,400. I think, if you want to get away from some of these chalk fillers like Isles 1, something like that, I think Washington 2 is an interesting filler here tonight. You want to go Washington power play, I think that's fine as well. Like, it is still the Canucks. That they give up goals. Their penalty kill isn't great. So I think you can go Washington power play here, but if I had to pick a line in Washington, it would be that second line.
The line matching is what I want to bring up real quick here, because Vancouver spent like 6 or 7 games on the road. They've only had one home game since that road trip. One home game was against Montreal. They did some line matching I haven't seen from them all season. They sent out the third and fourth lines almost exclusively against the top line from Montreal. So like Podkolzin, Horvat, Chiasson, and Highmore, Lamico, Mott were the shutdown lines that they used against Montreal.
Brucey.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do that against Washington, but if they do that, like, I think that kind of hurts the Vancouver top line. Like, I want them going into that Kuznetsov Ovechkin matchup. I don't want them going into Backstrom and Oshie. I don't want them going into Eller and Wilson.
I think Bruce is smart enough. I think they're just doing that because it was Montreal. Honestly, like, that's not a blatant jab at Montreal, but like,
I get
it's a blatant jab at Montreal. It's a backhanded compliment.
I get it. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my problem with Vancouver 1, but I still like the matchup for them. Like, they've been very good. 37 scoring chances generated per 60 minutes, controlling 54% of the scoring chances. And one thing I will say is that Oshie and Backstrom, typically a tough defensive matchup, haven't been this year. I think a part of it is due to injuries. Those guys have missed a lot of time due to injuries, haven't played a lot together. but only controlling 46% of the scoring chances in their 80 minutes or so together. That's not very good. So, if that top line goes out against that, I kind of like their chances. So I like Vancouver 1. I even like some kind of Vancouver power play stack here. Like, we always talk about how Vancouver's power play is how they generate a lot of their offense. A lot of their pieces from the power play are relatively cheap. Like Elias Pettersson's only 4,600. That second line has been excellent. 62% of the shot share when they've skated together in about 50 minutes. Garland and Hoglander have played more together this year, and they played really well. So I think both Vancouver top lines are fine. Vancouver power play stack. On the Washington side, it'd be top line or bust for me. I think I would want to take advantage of a Vancouver penalty kill that has improved, but is still not great. And I think can definitely be taken advantage of. So it'd be Washington power play, Vancouver 1, Vancouver power play for me. On the blue line, I don't know what they're doing with the Vancouver defense prices, but it's Hughes or bust for me. I like Fehervary on the Washington side for 3K. If you want some blocks on DraftKings, that's about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I concur. I have no idea what DraftKings does with these West Coast defensive prices. They're getting like the West Coast $1,500 bump. I don't know if that's a thing, but like, do you see with the Ducks, even the Flames are getting into where all these guys are just like 4,500 for no reason.
Yeah, I like 5,100 Travis Hamonic. I don't know. I think every other defenseman would have to be injured and have him playing 30 minutes a night for that.
He's playing 17 minutes. Enjoy your 17 minutes. Guys,
you
know what I mean?
Absolutely going to score now.
100%.
That's just kind of the way it goes. All right, we got to get out of here. Josh, I'm going to ask you for your hat trick picks and your goalies. My hat trick pick for tonight is Do the Heartman, Ryan Hartman from Minnesota. And my goalies are Thatcher Demko and Connor Hellebuck. Who you got?
Yeah, I like Demko. I do worry a little bit about shot volume, but at 7,500 at home, it is what it is. I do like Hellebuck as well. You want to take a stab on Mr. Lickens, I think that's fine. I was going to go to someone on the Wild. I was going to say Joel Eriksson Ek. I'll stick with Joel Eriksson Ek. There's different ways to build on a 4-game slate.
I mean, maybe they can get dueling hat tricks. That would really be something. One of us is probably going to have to be wrong here. It'll be interesting to see.
We could both be right.
Yeah, we could both be right. Let's do that. Let's be a little positive here at the end of the week. We're both going to be right about our hat trick picks for tonight. But we got to get out of here. We will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, Fantasy Hockey World Championship. Very big show for us coming at 11 o'clock Eastern. Until then, for producer Mike, for Josh, our single entry assassin, I'm Michael Clifford saying good luck tonight, everybody.